Welcome to Red Tiger Chronicles. This is Sifu Paul Mason, owner of Red Tiger Martial Arts in Cincinnati, Ohio, and this podcast is to help some of the most extraordinary martial artists that walk among us tell us their stories.
Hey everyone, I'm one of your hosts, Alex Wool. Today I have with me my other co-host, Sifu Paul Mason.
Hello, hello.
And we also have my Simo, Becky Mason. She is Sifu Paul's wife and also a certified instructor in Shaolin Wing Chun.
How's it going?
And we also have my Kung Fu sister and partner, Nikki Hernandez.
Hello, hello.
Today, we have a few things to discuss. First, I just want to mention we've been on a little bit of a hiatus for a while, partly due to Sifu Paul getting a hip replacement and recovering from that, and also just scheduling and stuff. And then we also wanted to talk about in June, Nikki and I competed at the Wing Chun Nationals in Dayton, Ohio. And we have been qualified to actually go to China and compete in the Wing Chun World Championship at the Shaolin Temple.
The Southern Shaolin Temple.
The Southern Shaolin Temple, yes, sir.
So that, if you look at Wikipedia or any Western reference sources, that a lot of the references say that that was a myth, but evidently the Chinese have been renovating and excavating this site since the 90s, and finally the renovations are done. And with our lineage holder, our system founder, Grandmaster Benny Ming, they've decided to put on this event and actually bring Wing Chun back to the Shaolin Temple, the Southern Shaolin Temple, after 350 years. So that's where the art originated from. And so this is a pretty special once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that we have to bring the art back to the temple and actually come full circle, I guess you could say. So a little bit about our hiatus.
Side quest summer. Hashtag.
Side quest summer?
Yeah, you had a side quest. Y'all had
side quest. What was my side quest?
Hip replacement.
Hip replacement surgery. So yeah, after this whole thing, I understand why they shoot horses when they break their leg, because this is not natural. It's not natural to keep going, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some days I just think, I just should have run that leg into the ground and joined, Man of War or whoever, what other famous race horses in the great sugar cube factory in the sky, I guess. Because this has really been terrible. I mean, I don't want to warn people not to visit the doctor and seek medical attention if they have a debilitating condition or injury. But yeah, let me just set the expectation. It's just pain every day, all day, every day.
To be fair, it was pain all day, every day before that. And
That's true.
Since you did invite your wife to a podcast, everybody be ready for Devil's Advocate, because as the resident cyborg of the house, it's always worth it to keep going. Out of spite, if nothing else.
Words of wisdom. That's
don't go down just to spite your enemies.
That's half of why I do
else.
everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just to spite my enemies. Just because I can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So what should happen, though, is that over time, you should no longer be in this pain all day, every day, though, right?
Yeah.
So,
you're only halfway there. You're only halfway through recovery.
I mean, it's just not, I just want the listeners to know, it's not like in the movies where you can get, almost fatally shot or injured or something, and then they do,
Facts.
a 10-minute procedure, and then you're, doing jumping forward rolls.
Yeah, that's not real. Like, you see
something.
people like full on almost drown in a movie, and they're like 2-second coughing spell, and they're like, "Oh, I'm okay." I choke on my own spit occasionally, and it takes 2 hours to feel okay again. So yeah.
So just briefly, some backstory. just trying to garner some sympathy from the audience. So I guess it started back in the summer of 2022. I noticed that.
Oh, I thought you were going to garner sympathy for the fool that you live with all the time. We're back to hip surgeries. My bad. Go on.
Summer 2022, I felt like, a tightness in my left hip, and I thought it was just, I wasn't flexible. And so, we stretch, double down on the stretching. That didn't help. And April 2023, went to see an orthopedist, and he said I had a hip of an 80-year-old. So he recommended surgery. I didn't want to get surgery, so I just kept doing all kinds of other therapeutic modalities. Jacob from episode 2 was helping me out, and he still has a lot of good methods and exercises that I'm doing for recuperation at this point. But I guess the deterioration of the connective tissue and the bone itself was too much for that to long-term mitigate the condition. I went to see a chiropractor, did some acupuncture. And so when I realized that none of that stuff was going to be a long-term solution, I went ahead and bit the bullet and got the surgery in April of this year, April 17th. And I was on a walker for about a month. Glad I'm not on that anymore. So I'm hobbling around on a cane and
I think
trying to do more and more every day.
Yeah. And I think, to be fair, for anybody that might be listening and being like, oh, that's a bad idea, I don't want to do that. But to be fair, you also have some, I don't want to call them comorbidities because that sounds terrible, but you have some other things going on that are making your recovery really difficult.
Yeah.
So, you have connective tissue issues.
Right.
So, you have connective tissue issues, and that's not going to help you. That's not going to help you heal from this crazy thing. Yeah. Also, fun side fact, kind of what was it? VH1 pop-up video.
The little bubbles.
Yeah. Pop-up video. It only takes 25 minutes. The whole surgery took 25 minutes.
That's crazy.
That blew my mind. He was back there prepping for hours, which I understand. But they sent me the text hey, we're taking him back to surgery. And I'm like, okay, well, I can take a nap or something. I don't know. And seriously, 25 minutes later, they're like, you did great. He's in recovery. And I was like, did you text the right person? Because
when I worked,
don't rush yourselves.
I used to work in orthopedics in the hospital, and they would crank them out. I can't remember who you did, but these doctors we would fill the floor in a day, and we held 23 beds, and we'd fill them in one day.
Yeah,
and it was insane.
Yeah,
yeah. So. Yeah, I wouldn't know. I was out. It could have been 25 minutes. It could have been 25 days. I don't know. But you're right. I've had been diagnosed for probably 30 years 20 years. We'll say 21 years psoriatic arthritis, which is similar to rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune condition affecting the joints, and also Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, where there's 4 different types, and some are more deadlier than others. I think I have the most benign type, which results in hypermobility. But at the end of the day, they all are characterized by a lack of connective tissue, lack of collagen between your joints and between your organs and so forth. So I guess that makes it harder. If I started out with a little less to begin with, it might take me a little longer to heal. So good.
That does make sense. There. I didn't think about that. Did they ever say anything to you about that at the doctor's office?
The Swank. Well, yeah. Shout out to Dr. Michael Swank from Beacon Orthopedics here in Cincinnati. He seemed to think that it was all just a degenerative from the psoriatic arthritis. He really kind of downplayed the Ehlers-Danlos, but I don't see how you can. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I don't see how you can separate that. If I don't have as much collagen and connective tissue, that it seems to me there would be a correlation. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Medical coincidences are not a thing, but if they don't have every answer about a thing, and no shade to doctors out there, so don't come for me, but as someone who's been going to doctors as long as I can remember, if they don't have the answer about that thing, they're not going to talk about it. And you have to remind them of it constantly, and you have to advocate for yourself.
They're also not going to admit they don't have the answer.
Oh,
They're just
100%.
going to tell you you're wrong.
Yeah, they're just going to pretend like, and how much of this is like women at the doctor versus men at the doctor? I'm not going to get into that because this isn't the episode for that. But it's a whole thing. Like, they're not going to talk about your Ehlers-Danlos because they're not specialists in that field. And I mean, egos drive everyone and everything. So they're just going to be like, I mean, I had a gastroenterologist call me about my blood work one time. Pop-up video. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and I've been type 1 diabetic for 44 years. He called me about my blood work, and he was like, yeah, your blood sugar was high. And I was like, oh, crap. What was it? It was like 400? Because I would have been shocked. And he was like, it was 123. And I was like, that's a good day. And he was like, you might be diabetic. And I'm like, you think? You forgot that whole conversation we had? And he's like, oh, yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, so big picture. I don't know if you guys remember Alex saying that Becky is a certified instructor as well. But yeah, no matter what your thing is, as long as you can walk into the Kwun, or, you know, if Kung Fu's not your thing, the dojo or the gym or whatever, then you could do martial arts. I mean, everybody's, you know, in this day and age is going to have some stuff going on. So even though feels like your body's against you sometimes, you got to make it work for you.
Mm-hmm. Take it back to the Rush rules, you know, that movie Rush. If you guys never saw that, but it was a kind of a documentary. It was a dramatized documentary, a biopic, if you will, about Nicky Lauda and his rival / best friend in the sport, and they were like two sides of the same coin. And Nicky Lauda was very precise, and everything was like an equation to him. So he was like, if there's a more than 20% risk, I'm not going to do it. So, I mean, I think it comes down to that. It's just mediating risk and deciding, is it worth it to you?
Right. Yeah. So
but I mean, that's walking out your front door.
Yeah. So that movie she's talking about is called Rush with, I can't remember the guy that played Nicky Lauda, world-renowned Formula One race car driver.
He's the same guy that played...
I mean, I know who he is. I just don't know his name. I can't think of his name. And it was the Hemsworth fella that plays Thor that played his rival, James Hunt. And so just like Becky was saying, two sides of the same coin. You got Nicky Lauda, who's like this rational tactician who lives in this world of like statistics and probabilities and, you know, physics. And then you've got James Hunt who just does what feels right? What he goes by his instinct, his intuition. And those are really two sides of the same Zen or Chan Buddhist coin. So you got, you know, one side says live in reality, and that's what Nicky Lauda does, you know, or that's what he did. You know, he lived in the reality of the physical world.
Alive.
Yeah. And then James Hunt, he lived his life around possibilities and, you know, if you can conceive it, you can achieve it, right? You know, everything starts with a thought. So yeah, we place a big emphasis on, you know, what we think, what we feel, what we do creates our reality. And so, whereas Nicky Lauda was, you know, acknowledge and respectful of his reality, and that's what helped him succeed. James Hunt was more driven to create his own reality.
Yeah, it was more like art to him, I think.
Yeah.
But also, our overarching theme so far seems to be overcoming that adversity. And I mean, really, shout out to Nicky Lauda, because he got horribly burned in an accident because someone like goaded him into not obeying his own rule. It's not a spoiler. It's like saying, guess what? The Titanic sank. But he got back in the car, is my point. He got back in the car as soon as he was medically cleared to do so, because that's what he had to do. I started to say that's what drove him, but no puns.
You should have.
I'm
You
really
should have said
trying.
it.
I'm
No,
trying.
Just don't. That's not you, though. You got to be authentic.
But-
Puns are you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sighs are you when I do it.
Yeah. That's,
Everyone's
that's the way
getting a
it is.
real peek behind the curtain here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it goes. So yeah, the journey sucks. If anybody wants to know about being on the receiving end of a hip replacement surgery at the age of 51 and how that goes, and doing martial arts with these things, go to our website, redtigerselfdefense.com, and you
Come
can
to a class.
click on one of the social media links or contact me through the website, and we'll talk about it for sure.
Yeah,
And
just
like
saying
Becky
that.
said, come to class. Yeah.
Through all of this, I think you missed one class, right?
Yeah.
You were at the second class after
Surgery was on
after
Wednesday.
your surgery.
And he
Yeah.
missed Thursday class and came.
He was
Well,
there.
no, he
and
missed Friday class, but I think we canceled day class.
Well,
for a while.
yeah. When
Yeah.
I guess when I say one class, I mean
But
like the
the
nighttime
nighttime
classes.
and then he was back on Monday.
Yeah, and he was in there with his walker teaching. I mean, when something needs to be demonstrated, like with kicks or something, he'll usually have me demonstrate. But he was right back in there. He didn't, just disappear or anything.
As a nurse, I found this really stressful. Let me tell you. Okay, I was
As a
stressed out the
wife.
whole
Well,
time.
I found this really stressful.
Knowing that I had a nurse there made it really not
I was
stressful.
afraid
for me.
that you were finding comfort in that reality. I was living in a different reality.
I found a lot of discomfort in that reality.
See,
Pretty sure everybody knows it. I was in class because
Yeah.
it's pretty vocal
Agree
from time to
to
time.
disagree.
Simo, you would be happy to know that for classes that I do attend, I try to be your voice when you're not there. And I'm like, hey, would Simo be happy that you did this thing?
Yeah, I got a little bracelet that says WWSD.
Do the opposite 100%
Yeah.
of the time.
On my other arm, it's DTO.
No, really. Don't do what I would do.
Yeah.
Probably result in
Long story short, that's basically why we haven't really pursued the podcast. I mean,
It's
a lot of
just
rest and
been
recovery.
busy.
Yeah.
Rest, recovery, things been happening.
And then stuff with
Life.
this China trip, like
This was-
been super.
China was a
super
preparation,
busy. Yeah.
though.
It's
Let's-
been a whirlwind.
Because it really started
Let's
with,
talk about it. Let's talk
Yeah,
about
it
the China
started
trip. When did it
with-
It's
start?
really started with the Meng's inter-school tournament. That, for me, I don't know about you guys,
Tell the story.
but so Alex and I went up to the Meng's inter-school tournament. You were unable to attend it because I think
It
it
was
might
like
have been
3
like
days after.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
week you had surgery.
It was the weekend after.
And I'm sitting there and I'm helping Alex warm up and I'm just making sure he's hydrated and he's got the right temperature water. Like, I don't know, what do you want me to hold some pads? I'll hold some pads. Let's hold some pads. Let's go over here. And then for a second I was like, wait, all these people have somebody in the chair behind them giving them directions.
I'm like, yep, you're going to corner.
Did you notice that? Yeah. That's their corner broom. What?
She's like, am I doing that? I'm like, yeah.
Is that
You
me? I am suddenly don't know why am I here? And then earlier in the day, and I'd been with Master Ming, he was saying something. I've only met Master Ming a handful of times when
We did the
podcast. We went up to his school to record some videos and help him with the social media. And so he'd seen my face, but I guess when he figured out that I was cornering for Alex, he was like, "You do Kung Fu?" I was like, "Oh, what? What? Yeah? Yes, sir. I do. Guess I'm signing up for the next competition."
Well,
And
if
the
you ever
next
find yourself in the
competition-
corner, your only job is to yell, "Get up, you bum!" For all of the Rocky fans out there. Not Master Noakes. He doesn't like Rocky for some reason.
I'll corner better next time.
You did
But-
good. Fine.
the next competition was nationals. And I told Alex, I was like, I want to participate this time. Master Ming doesn't know that I practice with you guys. I guess he thinks I'm just like the helpful girlfriend. That's cool. And so then we went to nationals. And by that time, you had healed up enough. I think that was maybe a month later.
Yeah.
You guys came up with us. And that was my first actual competition that I participated in. That
Very proud. I'm very proud, Sifu, of you and Alex, and of your brother that's not at the table right now, but is in class faithfully every week. Matt Bryan, who won gold at his first ever martial arts competition. Yeah. So every time you guys come to a competition or go to a competition, any Red Tiger Club, I'm always extremely proud of what you guys do.
Same. And it's not just what you brought home. It wasn't just the fact that you swept entire divisions. It's not just about that, but it was the way I watched you guys interact with everybody that was there. And I mean, nobody there is a jerk, but it's just exceptionally, you guys are just exceptional people. And I'm always just like, not just as a SEMO, but as like a human being, I'm like, I'm proud to know these people. Proud to say these are my friends.
Well,
you guys are, you know.
Thank you. Same.
I'm like, Alex would be the person I would want to sit next to at a tournament, because like every time like your competitors were up doing the thing that you're about to go like kick their butt at, like they come sit back down and you're like, you did awesome. Like every single time I saw you do it. And
I mean,
then,
that's what we're about,
there was
right?
Nikki, like on her day off, and she was like, I'm already bringing the nurse's bag. I'm bringing like the first aid. And you were like there for every kid that wasn't even really hurt, but like they wanted the attention of being hurt, and like they have a full blown nurse like attending to their not wound. That totally made those kids feel better. Like just the attention, the full blown attention was what they needed in that moment. And you understood that and delivered without even being asked. It was just kind of cool to see.
Yeah. So how did that lead to the China thing?
Well, as Timo said, we swept the division. They added a free forms division, and Matt, our new student, he won gold. Alex won silver. I won bronze, and I don't know. That was a crazy experience to have in general, but. Then, I started thinking a little bit more about it. Master Ming, at the end of the day, was like, hey, if you want to view this as a invitation, it is. If you qualified, if you placed with a medal in any of these forms or combats, then you've won the chance to participate in our trip to China. And little did I know, they did not include the form that I did. I had to do a little bit of stuff later. But
yeah, because it had to be a Wing Chun form, and the open forms were not Wing Chun forms. But
Alex qualified. That was in the bag for him. Nobody was ever questioning that. And I was like, sure, we'll go to the meeting thing tomorrow. I'm thinking like, we're not gonna do this. And Alex took the packet, and I'm like, wait, what are you doing? Okay, we're doing it. We're going to go to China. Can I go to China? And then Master Ming said to send him a video of a form that did qualify. And I guess he approved it. You never said anything about it.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I sent it to him, and I didn't really hear anything back. So
I guess silence is.
Yeah, what's the old saying? No news is good news.
Yeah.
I just do want to touch on the fact that in case, he's listening, I would have liked to have Matt come to China, but it's just the time.
It was,
I wanted to have,
very quick.
Yeah. I wanted to have you tell the story from your point of view, because like I was deep in recovery, and a lot of that is a haze.
Literally just got a hip. So Alex took the packet, and that was on a Sunday. We went home. We're like, okay, yeah, I guess we are going to China. We need to start working on this passport business, because Alex and I didn't have passports. And we got the passport sent off that Friday, I think, before the week was over. We had already
Because we knew it was
completed
going
the
to
first step.
take some time, and we had to get the visas too.
And, from there, it's just been constant, I won't say stress.
There's got to be anxiety though, which
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
curious
tons.
about. Like,
I'm full of that.
what's your like primary? Is it like what's it going to be like, or like what's the thing that's like looming for you guys?
Personally, that I would do anything disrespectful on accident. Like, as a
As a dumb American.
cultural
Yeah.
mindset,
I think all of us are kind of
terrified of
feeling
doing
that,
that.
a little bit.
But just the process of getting ready has been strenuous.
Yeah.
That's the word, strenuous.
I was like getting the paperwork for everything, worrying about if my visa is going to come back on time when this trip's already paid for, like, making sure I'm going to have all the stuff I need to be in China for 2 weeks, which luckily Nikki is being pretty awesome about that, making lists and stuff. And then on top of that, learning a new form that's pretty difficult. And trying to just train and have a normal life, and also get ready to go to China. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking to somebody over here. Like, I'll talk myself out of evening plans if they don't have an accessible parking lot.
Yeah.
So,
Same.
I mean, like the whole thing is, I can imagine it being intimidating. And I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying, like, as someone, like, I'm not scared of snakes or, okay, sharks, yes. But, like, I'm not scared of people. I'm not scared of doing things. But if I don't know where I'm going and what's going to be awaiting me there, like, it's not fear, but it's, I don't know. My brain obsesses about it. I think it's gotten worse after the pandemic for some reason. I don't know how that factored into things, but like that weird year of just being at home and not going places, like, I don't know.
It
changed something in
made me
It
realize I want to be
activated
at
some
home.
weird switch,
Yeah.
and I haven't figured out how to like turn it back off.
No, same.
If somebody
It's
figures that out,
definitely done
please
that
let
to
me know, because
'cause
this is stupid.
I just don't ever want to do anything anymore. I'm like, no, I
Remember
don't.
the whole year
How
when
can
we
I?
just
How can I
stayed
get out
home
of doing
I
this?
didn't have to talk to people.
I think class is 90% of our plans
Yeah,
outside of the
for
house.
sure.
That's awesome. That's the way it should be.
I mean, that's pretty much. Yeah, that's like most things that involve me leaving. I'm like, how can I get out of leaving the house? How can I just not do that? But when it comes to class, I mean, it's just like a given that I'm going to be at class.
because
But-
it's one of the best places ever.
Well, it is.
I mean, it is.
Even if I don't want to go anywhere, I want to go to
And
class.
I mean, when on days we don't have class, I'm at home training. So like,
But I mean, okay, so I expressed like my imagined anxiety about the trip if I were going, but also like the excitement. Like,
Yeah. What do you
you
guys
guys are
want
going to
to?
be in the birthplace of our art.
Mhm.
Like, that is so insane to me.
What do you guys hope to get out of it?
I guess this is the time where we tell Sifu we really are trying to get a tattoo while we're there.
Is that even legal?
Yes, it is. We're not going
Nikki
to Japan.
really wants to get a tattoo.
I mean, I get that.
I'm for it.
It's
I'm
a
for
thing.
it if we can make it happen. But
You don't see a lot of Chinese folks with a tattoo.
Sir.
no,
I guess
see
maybe
a lot
I
of
just watched the wrong.
looking it
Are
up.
you
Media.
you're watching TV though?
They're in.
You
I
watching
mean,
shows
most of
and
them are in
movies?
gangs, but I
No,
treat gang
looking
members
it up,
all the time. We're friends.
So
Looking
Nikki's
at
gonna
a
get a
ta-
gang tattoo and get
Nikki's
arrested.
going to join the triads while she's there.
And
looking it up, it is still a taboo, but it is legal and it is becoming less taboo.
legal taboo.
So, yeah.
I'm thinking, just a little symbol for dragon.
Yeah.
As I mean, Alex and I are both dragons, visiting in the year of the dragon.
So, Alex,
So-
like, one thing you have to do for me while you're there, while you're in the temple, like, because you are, of the three going, I think you're the most sensitive to the energy and the qigong around you. Like, I need to know what it feels like when you step in that place, because I just feel like it's going to be crazy.
Mm-hmm. I know it is.
I mean, I just fully expect it to be just like a river of energy in that place. Just ancient, current.
Would hope so.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Like,
for sure.
I mean, yeah.
That's going to be wild.
It is going to be wild. I still can't believe it's real. It's just a weird feeling that, like, I've heard of the Shaolin temple since I was a kid. You know, like, I would have never ever thought that I would be going there to compete in martial arts. It's crazy.
That's insane to me.
It's crazy.
It's not crazy to me that you are going. I mean, you've placed at, I think, every competition, at least I've been with you. Like, you win some medal. Like, you are definitely a worthy competitor. And I think it's an accident that I'm going, and I am waiting for somebody to figure it out and be like, oh, just kidding, you're going to stay in San Francisco.
That's not true.
Yeah, the universe wants you there. So, I mean...
Yeah, there's no accident in that. Like, don't downplay yourself. Like,
it's insane.
You belong there.
Yeah.
He does, for sure.
And if I had time to teach your brother Matt Wing Chun form, I mean, because he was like I think he was only like 2 weeks in.
Yeah,
right,
he was
when
like
competed.
2 weeks in. Yeah,
right. But he had a little prior experience. He's he trains a lot of what we call first hall, which is, he's got good conditioning, strength, flexibility, that kind of thing. So that, that really helps you. It's a transferable skill, and when you're doing forms, for sure. But there was that caveat that, you had to compete in a Wing Chun, a specific event, and we just didn't have the time. So, but next time, hopefully.
Yeah, and then it was like we got one exception. Right. Yeah. It was like, so one person that didn't place in a Wing Chun form or sparring could go. And, Nikki's been in the art for years. I mean, it just makes sense for her.
You put in your time. I remember the year before, when I was gainfully employed, and I like training you guys. I like training with you guys, but I wasn't really trying to market or grow. It basically just was like during COVID, I said, if you guys want to still do one-on-ones and stuff, that's fine. And as the restrictions eased up, Nikki came along and had some concerns about her job, and also needed, an outlet. I was like, yeah, sure, come aboard. And I wasn't sure you were gonna.
I quit.
Stick with it, yeah.
10 times.
I'm sure you did.
There's just enough days between classes that I unquit before the next class.
I'm going.
Here's the bottom line, though. Like, you feeling like you don't belong there that's like us saying like white belts don't belong in our school. That is absolutely ridiculous. I adore white belts because they're so hungry and they want to learn, and they have that mentality most of the time. And I strive to hang on to that. So saying you don't belong there is because you haven't achieved whatever accolades you want for yourself eventually. And I'm saying you will get there, right? But just, you don't have to have those to walk through the door.
I think that it's hard to, when you're like looking at yourself, it's hard to see progression. But if you look at where you were at when you first came in here, or when you were very new to the art, to now, you've come such a long way. Like, I don't know. It's you absolutely belong. Like,
yeah.
Just a little bit of imposter syndrome.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that. I get that too. Even like,
I have that. I have that now. Like, I don't. There's days I don't think I should even be a seafood. I need to get a job at Arby's or something.
I mean, I feel that sometimes too. As seeing, like, sometimes I'm like, how am I supposed to lead these people? Like, I'm not good at this. But yeah, I also think having a little bit of imposter syndrome is not necessarily a bad thing, though, because it's going to make you strive.
Contributes to your humility. I mean, it would be...
What is it? The Dunning-Kruger effect? Isn't that what it's called? Or am I making that up?
Right. You're too dumb to know you're terrible.
Yeah. It's like the people... I'm not naming... We're not going down that route. I have a whole spiel about it. But yeah, like, the more you are convinced that you're wonderful and know everything, like the further you get from that reality.
Well, because at that point, you don't
a little
see
bit
that
of imposter syndrome keeps you real humble.
Yeah. So one of the bright spots about my recovery is because I was away from the floor and my usual capacity, much of this time, when I interact with you, Nikki, I get you to show something or demonstrate something, or I see how you're doing with a partner. It's like, it's a tremendous before and after experience when I think about how you were when you started and where you are now with your intent and your techniques and your body intelligence, right? Mm-hmm. So not to say that, you as well as all of us have a lot of work to do, but you got to appreciate where you are now.
And I think some of that credit also goes back to the guy who definitely doesn't belong at an Arby's.
They got the meats.
I mean,
I think the proof is in the pudding. Like
the three,
you're a good seafarer. Just accept it.
I am where I am.
Good. Yeah, that's what it's all about. So I think, when we talk about China, I think we want to. I think in the back of our heads, like we kind of alluded to the fact, we want these grand, somewhat mystical experiences that contribute to this, huge perspective change and enlightenment and things. And we definitely don't want to offend or go to jail or.
But I mean, I think it's definitely one of those things like you're going to get out of it what you put into it. Mm-hmm. So, it's going to be a crazy journey getting there. Sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hours are almost a function equation that me and maths don't get along. So, I can't figure out how long y'all are going to be in the air. I just know it's going to be a long time.
It's basically like 24 hours of travel.
Yeah.
33 at the minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Get as much rest as you
like
can
one way?
And don't let that weigh you down.
If we count the going to Chicago, then the layover from Chicago to San Francisco, and then we get to Hong Kong, and then we take a 6-hour train.
Yeah.
So, I think the flight to Hong Kong is like 15 hours.
You think they have Monster Energies in China?
I'm packing some Celsius powder. I have a caffeine addiction. Okay,
it's an
energy drink, but they make a little powder form now that you just
and they're like good for you energy drinks. It's like basically like pre-workout.
Seems like another way for you to land in Chinese jail. Like they find some powder, some.
It's in a little packet that says what it is.
A baggie, if you will.
I thought about it because I definitely am part of like women's workout groups online, and definitely that has been a question. Like, how do you bring your creatine on a flight? Do you bring you don't bring the whole container, right? Do you just bring a baggie of powder? How does that go? Somebody tell me.
Nikki brings a baggie of powder to China, and that's how she gets her Chinese tattoos.
Yeah, it's a Chinese jail tattoo. Oh, that's
sorry, but if people can bring baggies of creatine powder on an airplane and I get harassed over an insulin pump, I'm angry about it.
I don't think they can.
You should be.
So how are we affording this, guys?
We've had 3 modes of fundraising. The old-fashioned GoFundMe. It's helped many people. It's helping us. It's been unreal and super humbling to watch that. I don't know about you guys.
I mean, there were times like
I
just
cried.
seeing. That's what I was just gonna say. Seeing all my friends donated. Like one of my friends made a really big donation really quickly, and like I'm just in tears. Like I can't believe I can't believe everyone is doing
to watch. Like, I had a friend that. I think the 2 of you have met one time. Paul, you've met her several times. Shout out to Ruth. She's an awesome human. And I had posted it. She shared it. And just like seeing like the tiny, tiny world that is Cincinnati. As someone who grew up in the mountains of North Carolina and thought Cincinnati was this big town that was going to chew me up and spit me out. Like watching those circles interconnect, because one of her friends is like, oh, I know Alex. He's delightful. I know him through work. And I'm like, this is wild. Like, good people know good people, I guess. But yeah, it was super cool to watch that happen, especially, coming from like nonprofit fundraising where if you're not one of the 3 Bs, you're not getting a lot of money, which the 3 Bs are babies, beasties, like dogs, cats. Animals raise money like crazy. So babies, beasties, and boobies.
Yeah.
If you're not promoting breast cancer, babies
That makes sense.
or dogs and cats,
And I mean,
it's hard to raise money.
is.
So
one
watching
thing-
you guys do that, it was pretty cool.
I definitely thought, like, I did not think the GoFundMe was going to make a lot. I thought some people would maybe donate a little bit, but like it completely made this possible. We wouldn't have been able to do this. Yeah. So it's
clarification. We're
amazing.
still fundraising.
We're still fundraising.
Yeah. We haven't met our goal, but we've gone like I had a goal in my head. We've gone past my goal. Yeah. My goal was like, man, if we could get money for half of this, then that's going to be great. And we've done that. We've gone past it a little bit, I think. And it's just super humbling to see, just the support on our community has been great. Like,
it's been like an outpouring of support. Even people that can't donate, money is tight. So like, I understand people can't donate, but anyone that's shared a post or even talked about it or even congratulated me or anything, like it's just so much appreciated.
Exactly. Like watching people share this post and say, like in my circle, it's mostly about Paul. And, they'll say, oh, I know this guy. This guy's a really great guy. And, I almost want to like print it out and like wallpaper the house with it so he can see it.
Yeah.
Like everywhere he goes, like, no, people believe in you.
Yeah.
People believe in you enough to, say it in this public forum, which you can say anything you want, but people hesitate because they don't want to put their name on something that they don't really believe in. Mm-hmm. And just the number of people that have put their name on this support, like, hey, these people are good people. These people are deserving and worthy of this amazing trip.
That was definitely a bright spot for this journey so far. The journey before the journey, I guess. Seeing that outpouring of support, and hopefully it continues. We've got a self-defense seminar Sunday
coming up
where we train on Red Bank Road. The details again are on the website.
I don't know if the podcast will be out before that.
It might have already happened.
You might have missed it. But the GoFundMe will be up for a while.
And I'll try to get it out before.
I was going to say, attending class is also contributing to our going to China. So absolutely. Come by. One class is free. Mm-hmm. I did one free class 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then we also have the Dajio.
Right. So we're partnered with Cincy Cured, cincycured.com, the website, and our student Bree makes these herbal and medicinal liniments, remedies. And Dajio, traditionally used in China, literally translates to iron hit wine. So it's good for your bruises, your contusions, your muscle aches and soreness. It's to be used externally only, and I've gotten some good feedback from her recipe actually, and I can't imagine honestly doing martial arts without it. I haven't been doing a lot of the arm banging stuff lately, but as I am able to be more active, I'm going to need it a lot more. And in the past, it's really come through. So, three ways. So we're doing these self-defense seminars and, like Nikki said, just come to class, but also, if you want to buy some of the Dajio, I believe the proceeds of that are going 100% to fund or recover the costs of the China trip till the end of August.
And then she'll still have it on there.
Yeah, she'll still have it on there, and you can support one of our students, make it easier for her to come to class. And then, the GoFundMe will be up for just until I think.
Until the trip, I guess.
Yeah, people. Well, I'll keep it. Well, I might keep it up. I'll probably keep it up after the trip. In case folks want to donate.
Yeah. I mean,
we can post it with pictures of China.
Yeah.
Look what we did.
Yeah, because
yeah,
that's true. I mean, it could still help reimburse us even after the fact.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
the costs aside from what we paid the travel agency. We went through a travel agency because there's 60 of us going, and it's just a lot to arrange, I guess. So. Aside from what we paid them, there's a couple more costs. The cost, the visa, the passport,
Everything
the luggage.
costs.
My luggage was 1 inch too big.
Yeah, we had to buy new luggage because it's barely too big.
What do you mean too big?
It's too big to fit in the overhead compartment for United Airlines. I'm a Delta girl.
That long, slow growl tells me that is a detail you have not checked yet.
Check that.
You didn't get your measure. You did get your.
You better measure.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Backpack, duffel, chest piece.
Yeah, you got to get a chest protector for doing Chisao.
Which also super excited about because
you're gonna do great.
It's
fine. Yeah, I think it'll be good.
Even I mean, that's the thing about the competitions is like, I mean, I've medaled a lot of times, but that's not why I go there. I don't go there to get a medal. Like it's to pressure test what you've been doing. So like even if you lose or whatever, you didn't lose. Like you still learned from it.
Yeah, I think the anxiety about it is worse than the actual experience.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
kind of like,
for
have
sure.
you ever been snow skiing? Have you ever been?
No.
And like, okay, so a lifetime ago, went snow skiing. Was terrified. I was like, this is going to hurt when I fall down. And I know 100% I'm going to fall down because I'm me. Okay? If nothing else, if snow skiing isn't hard enough, it's me. I fall down all the time. And so I get there and sure enough, fell down and I was like, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And then I had a lot of fun because I wasn't scared of it anymore.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing. Like, does getting hit in the face hurt? Sure. Does it hurt as bad as you think it's going to? Probably not.
You got headgear on.
I've been popped in the nose before by somebody at the table in martial arts. And hey, you know what? I lived. I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We're competing with the world.
Mm-hmm.
I can't compete with Alex. So it'll be entertaining, enlightening.
It's going to be an experience. It's going to be a learning experience.
As long as you don't go there expecting to be like anything other than just soak up the experience and the knowledge of everybody around you. I mean, as long as you approach it with that, it's just going to be nothing but positivity because and that, that's going to go a long way with people who can't speak to you and communicate with you with words. Like they're going to read that on you and that's likable. If you go in with your chest puffed out, like, what? Nikki Hernandez is in the house. You guys are welcome. Like that, they're going to read too, and they're going to be like, what is this garbage? Which you would never do that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, if you walk in there truly humble and soak it up.
Give her $10 to walk out like Conor McGregor with her arms flailing.
Exactly.
I mean, if I get disqualified from placing, then it's going to be okay.
No, that would be terrible. A stain on our school.
Speaking of our school, that's another thing I'm really excited to to see our Bing's classmates again. Nationals was the first time I met a lot of them.
Yeah.
Those guys from Texas are awesome. Love them. Savannah, awesome. Master Noak School, awesome. Just being around them all day for 2 days in a row was lovely.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. There were 3 Alexes, and I liked them all. They were all great. Except one was a giant. Alex from Texas he's very tall to me. Everybody's tall to me.
Yeah.
No, it's a good family. I mean, it's a very incredibly endearing group of individuals.
We should try to get
with a common goal.
some interviews while we're there too.
Yeah.
Maybe string together like a podcast with some because I
I was saying that to Nikki earlier.
phone?
Like,
How
wouldn't
would
it
you
be
do that?
something if we brought this stuff to China and we're like able to like interview a monk or something?
because
for a
that
podcast,
camera
like,
I have now has a pretty good microphone.
Oh,
on it.
yeah?
Yeah.
Ooh.
that
might
would
have
be
to get Master
pretty
Ming to
cool
conduct
if we
the-
could do that. Yeah.
interview.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, or at least get his permission, kind of thing. But he knows we do a podcast, right? And be like,
He was
and this is
always
going to be
been on
promoting,
it. Yeah.
like,
This is a promotional
yeah,
piece.
it's going to
Yeah,
promote
yeah.
everything. So, yeah, I think that would be really cool.
Keep
We
that
could do
back of your
something like
head,
that. Yes,
Alex.
sir. Yes, sir.
I can say I'm really excited to see to just sit and hear the stories and the experiences that you guys come back with. Whether it's the travel there, being on a bullet train, what?
I know.
I mean, that's probably the dumbest part of the whole thing, but I've never been on a bullet train.
I'm excited about it.
There's
I-
so
it
much
would
of this
be
trip
so
that makes me
cool.
want to vomit.
I mean, it's
Fine.
it's anxiety ridden, but also it's just exciting.
I'm just
Like
going to bring some Dramamine.
a very wise woman that I met not long ago said one of the coolest things I've ever heard. She said, "This isn't a dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
Get one shot,
Hmm.
make it count." And I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? It might fill me with anxiety as the person who will talk herself out of going because they don't have an accessible parking lot that I'm comfortable with and have driven in before. But at the same time, it's like, take a deep breath, squash it down, and go live this life. Because if we're not, what else are we doing with it?
Hmm.
I'm a fan
What
of
are
doing
we
things
fighting
that
for?
I feel like are going to make me vomit. I do them at least once a week. It's usually come to class.
I mean,
But, I mean, class for the longest time, what made me want to vomit.
Yeah,
And now it's a comfortable place.
yeah, it is a comfortable place. It has definitely doing martial arts has definitely gotten me to be more okay with doing things that make me uncomfortable. Though, like a lot of times when I'm uncomfortable about doing something, like I don't want to go do this thing because the parking lot or whatever.
mhm.
A lot of times when I'm like, no, just do it. I go and do it, and I have a great time. But
Yeah.
I feel like before doing martial arts, a lot more. I'm like, no, I'm just not gonna. I'm nervous about this, so I'm just not gonna do it.
It's easy. It's easy to let that take over, but it's so much more interesting to be like, you know what? I'm going to jump out of the airplane.
Mhm.
I'm going to do the thing.
Yeah, just do it.
I just hope to be present this time. With the national competition, I think I blacked out when I did my form. I don't remember any of it. I don't remember I don't remember the first person view.
That's good.
I
Yeah.
think,
A body
You did good.
takes over.
Yeah, your body
You
just
don't
does it.
have to-
That's what you want.
I would
That
like
is
to just
good.
remember it.
I think also it's important. It's kind of like we always say, you know, when we're talking about sparring, it's like the plan falls apart,
Mhm.
right? Same thing with all this stuff. Like, you have to lean into the process, and like, not all of it's going to be good,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah,
But are those not the best stories to tell?
Yeah.
When you're like, hey, you know, there was this event, there was this thing, and here's how we thought it was going to go, but here's what really happened. Like, what is the story? Like, how was your trip? Well, we went. Nothing went sideways. I mean, okay, that's good, but man, the stories you can tell when things get weird.
Speaking of eventful parts, memorable parts of the trip, I know plenty of, most of them are men that are just very grumpy in the morning. They're not like outwardly grumpy and say mean things to you, but they're grumpy with their face.
Specifically me.
I was going to say, are you talking about people in the
Am
Yes,
I looking forward to this from all sides? That's my question.
I've never seen Sifu in the morning when he's a sleepy guy, but I know that I'm not happy in the morning when I'm a sleepy guy.
What do you have to say about
What
it?
advice do you have for me
For what?
for sleepy Sifu? Because we're going to have like physically have to do things with no sleep. or little sleep.
Here's the thing that I've found out is when it's stuff that he wants to do, he is a morning person.
Oh.
When we go to the beach, dude is up at like 5:45. Like, hey, are you awake? I'm like, no, I'm on vacation. I'm trying to sleep in. And he's like, nuh-uh. There's stuff to do. So I don't.
That's Nikki. When
Now,
we're on
do I
vacation.
know which
That's
version
Nikki
you're going to
in
get?
life.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
I would say you're probably more likely to encounter
by the end.
grumpy Sifu because of like circling back to that twingy hip that's still not real happy. In pain Sifu is not a fun person sometimes.
Yeah.
So I would say Nurse Nikki, if you can try to make him stay ahead of
medication and I'm
rather
trying
than
to
chasing the
poop on that
pain,
dream.
stay ahead of the pain because it's easier to.
I'm only taking like Excedrin on the trip, I think.
Well, I mean, whatever it is, don't wait until you're in pain.
Maybe naproxen. I don't have any prescriptions for anything else. They all ran out. Well, yeah, he said just take a baby aspirin to prevent the blood clots. Yeah.
So I think the selling point for China for both Alex and myself, for our fathers that are terrified for us to go, is David Carradine.
Huh?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So my dad very much does not not that he doesn't want me to go, but he is scared for me to go. So when I told him, I'm like, oh yeah, so I competed in this competition and like I've qualified to go to China and compete. He's like, oh, you don't want to go to China though. I'm like, yeah, we're like gonna be competing at a martial arts competition at the Southern Shaolin Temple. He's like, oh, like David Carradine and Kung Fu. It's like, you're going to go where David Carradine is from because he loves Kung Fu. He loves that show. So I don't know. He's always like, I'm just really scared for you to go. But it is pretty cool that you're going to the temple.
Yeah, that was my dad earlier today.
Oh, so he was saying that.
Is your dad excited about David Carradine as well?
Yeah, he's also an older Caucasian gentleman.
That's fair, but has anybody else at this table besides Sifu Paul and I met David Carradine before he passed away?
You met him? No.
Yes, we met him.
That's cool.
He was a turd.
Oh, really?
Was he?
Yes.
Disappointing.
He was
but he always
wretched human being. No.
That always sucks when you...
He was a total a-hole. And you want to know what's worse? He was an a-hole to a little kid. And I was like... Because we were at like
Mid-Ohio
It was
Con.
Mid-Ohio Con because we're
2006,
nerds.
I believe
Super
it was.
nerds. Yeah, so we were at Mid-Ohio Con and he was there because of the Kill Bill series was happening. Like the first volume was out and he was promoting the second movie in the series, I guess. And there was a kid there that was just like chomping at the bit, so excited to meet him, probably for the same reason that everybody's dad loved him. And I used to love him too. Like, I was like, this is exciting stuff. This is before I was taking Kung Fu. And I can't remember what the kid said to him. And he was just like I just remember his response being awful. And like, I was standing in line and I was like,
Yeah.
I left the line. I was like, I'm going to go talk to Brad Dourif over here, who looks like a college professor now, not because he was in Lord of the Rings, which I like Lord of the Rings too, but like, I want to talk to him about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest because I'm also old.
Yeah, the kid wanted, I think, a picture with Carradine, like had his own camera or something, and David Carradine was like really staunch about like no photos. If you want a photo, you gotta buy a photo.
He asked him a question about the movie, and he was like, "Well, you have to go see the movie."
Yeah.
But it was like his delivery. Like he was just such a jerk to this little kid. You just saw this kid's like everything just like deflate. Like that was his hero gone.
I had an
in
experience
instant.
like that when I was a kid, and I was probably like 12, 13 or something, and I saw the band The Offspring, and I loved them so much at that time, and I met what's his name? Dexter Holland, the singer, to that band, and I was so excited. I wanted to get a picture with him, and he was just mean to me. He was like, "No, I absolutely not. He wouldn't give me a picture." And I'm like, "Well, could I have an autograph?" And he was just like grumbled and like snatched it out of my hand, wrote it down, and threw it back at me, and just left. And I'm like, "Dang!" And I don't like. I never liked The Offspring
Guess
after
what?
that.
Yeah,
I was like, "Yep, I don't like you guys
after
anymore."
that.
Yep.
I've had the opposite with my all-time favorite musician, who's a delightful human, and like I got the chance to meet him because he's, for whatever reason, he's not like the most famous person. But we were at a show, like a little show, and I had gone to the restroom before he got on stage because I didn't want to miss one single second. Right? Like I'm that geeked out about this guy. And I come out of the bathroom and I see somebody standing over off to the side like of the room that the stage is in. And he's like in between me and Paul sitting at the table right in the front because we had to be right in the front. And this person's on their phone and I'm like, oh, holy crap, that's him. And if I don't go talk to him right now, I'm a huge jerk. Like, this is my chance. And I said something really ridiculous. Like, I thanked him for doing what he does, right? Like, what do you say?
That's not ridiculous. That's usually what I say. The kind of thing I say.
Yeah. Like, and he was just like super gracious about it and really sweet. And he was like, yeah, didn't you post on Instagram that you were coming? And I froze and I was like, oh no. Like, and he was just joked about it. He's like, I see everything. You know, he was just really funny and real about it.
That's
got my picture with him. He's delightful.
Grantley Phillips.
Shout out to Grantley Phillips. Everybody should listen to Grantley Phillips.
But you're making me think of this other time. We went to the Cincinnati Comic-Con. Remember that guy that was on Spartacus?
Yeah, and he was also in Lord of the Rings.
Yep, he led the elves to and the two tower. The
Battle for Helm's Deep.
The Battle for Helm's Deep. Yeah. Yeah, and the Two Towers movie, he led the elves up there. And was he in The Hobbit too, or was he dead? Did he die?
He was not in. Yeah, he did die in the Twin Towers movie. That
well, I guess The Hobbit came before. Actually,
yeah,
that character did, but he was not.
He was not in The Hobbit movie.
No,
but yeah, he played that real.
Look at his
Glabba, the Praetor from and Spartacus, and he was just like a lot of times, you know, the talent. Is usually like standing behind a rope or at least behind a table or something. And this guy's just standing out in the middle of the floor and nobody is recognizing him.
We recognized him and I was like, oh no, because he was such a terrible character. Yeah. I was like,
He was like the nicest guy. Like,
he really was.
He talked to us and, you know.
Henry Winkler was also really nice at a Comic-Con. Like, he broke his own line and came out just to shake your hand.
Yeah.
Because there was such a size difference because he's such a little tiny guy. And Paul was like,
very smaller guy.
Walking down through there and all of his stature. And I think he saw me elbow Paul and I was like, it's Henry Winkler. And Paul was like, huh? And he like came out from behind his table and like shook his hand. It was super cool.
Yeah. So that is cool. They say, you know, you never want to meet your heroes, but I mean, I remember watching Happy Days and stuff when I was a kid, and like he is a genuine nice guy, you know, for sure.
And to all the heroes out there, whether you know you are or not, just be a nice person.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, we're going to get on the podcast and talk crap about you to the universe.
Like 20 people are going to hear it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Take that, David
and those
Carradine.
20 people will tell.
Yeah, they're going to tell other people. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was how I told my dad where we were going. He said, "You know, I'm really worried about you guys going to China." I said, "I know." It's like, it's going to be okay. He said, "Where are you going anyway?" I was like, do you know where anything is in China? Does that matter? I was like,
well, there's Hong Kong and there's everything else.
Was he like, oh, the Shaolin Temple, let's
no,
down the street from the Domino's. Is that right?
I was like, we're going to the southern coast, essentially, and he's like, just giving me this confused face. I was like, that David Carradine show, Kung Fu, and he's like, oh, at the Southern Shaolin Temple. Yeah, Dad, the art that I practice, that one, I'm going to be there.
That's super cool. I'm super jealous.
I know. I wish you could come.
Yeah, that's my biggest like con of list and pros and cons that my most important person will not be there.
Yeah. I think it's just my lot to sit on the sidelines of Kung Fu and stare at the mat wistfully at this point in my life. So
that is
chalk
false.
It up to.
I don't think I would not be as far as I am or continue to want to come if you weren't here. Like,
that's
make
sweet, but
you make my experience different, and I think that's probably
that's
true.
really sweet, and I genuinely appreciate that
for everybody, but especially the women in our class.
You don't understand how much I want to like get on the mat and hit things, though. Like, and the fact that I can't is just like, it's so bittersweet. Like, I love watching you guys. I love being there.
You just can't get hit.
Yeah, but that takes the fun out of it. That's what I'm saying. Like, I have the opposite thing that you have, Nikki. Like, I want to get in a fight. It's stupid, but like, there's something magical about sparring people.
Mm-hmm.
And on the flip, like, once you've sparred somebody, there's like this weird camaraderie with that person that it doesn't relate to anything else. And it doesn't feel like anything else. It's like its own unique, special kind of relationship. And you can't take that away. Like, once you fight somebody, like sparring, it's just the coolest bond.
Yeah.
Like, it's super
I'm sorry you can't experience that, but I've learned a lot from you. Whether I can hit you or not. I think
a lot of 90s rap lyrics.
I knew a lot of those on my own.
Okay, good.
But there's definitely been I've learned a lot from you.
I've learned a lot from you as well. I second that.
I've never 100%. Sparred with you.
I mean, there have been, I wish I had like a specific thing, but there have been things that I've had Sifu explain to me over and over, and it's just like, I'm not getting it. And then you said you said the same thing that he told me in a different way, and it's like, oh, this makes sense now. Like, multiple times. Like, your presence is very necessary and very helpful.
And that's why the concept of Kung Fu family is important. This is the way it should work. You should be able to learn things from your SEMO, especially if she's been certified as an instructor, regardless of whether or not she can, participate fully. You should be able to learn things from your younger brothers and sisters. Now, you're the Dai Sihing, so you're on the floor. Typically, you're the oldest brother, but you should be able to learn things from them, whether they're doing something right or doing something wrong. And there's a concept in the art that we should be able to learn from anyone. If we're not open to that, then we're missing out on our own growth, really.
I mean, that's why our relationships to each other, they like Sifu means teacher / father, but every one of them is teacher / younger brother, teacher / older brother.
Yeah, for sure. So, I wish Simo did not minimize her effect on the class, but she brings the balance, right? It's like there's a very yin and yang balance that we have when we're there together, and I can, and I feel it too. Like I can, like when she's there, it's a different atmosphere sometimes than if I'm there, by myself, and you guys are just kind of subjected to my energy as the authority on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it takes it was the old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Same thing, Kung Fu family to create a black belt, really.
Mm-hmm. I'm convinced I wouldn't have made it through a few of those tests without having Simo there smiling and dancing.
I don't know. You've helped me a lot. I think that a lot of this art was from the mouths of men. And there's probably a little less of the, like, we literally have a different anatomy. I got things in the way.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I need to ask you about a thing when we're done for the new form. But like, it's really nice to have like an authority teacher figure in a similar body, because these are very empathetic men, but they can't be that empathetic. It's impossible. So you've made a lot of things clear for me that I would not have understood. You're highly valued.
I appreciate that. And, if you guys aren't having fun doing a thing, again, what's the point? So.
And I was thinking about something you were talking about when you were saying, throughout your journey, there was, several times where, you kind of felt like you wanted to quit or.
Oh, no, I did quit.
You just came back before the next class.
Before you knew she quit.
I changed my mind by Thursday.
But that's what happens though. Like the art will drive you out. Like if you don't come at it with the right mindset of, striving for detachment, coming at it from the perspective of, trying to learn as much as you can and stay humble. But also at the same time, express yourself, express your energy, take up your space, own your space, understand that you have a right to exist in that space wherever you are. If you don't come into it like that, then the art will reject you. And then especially, you just made me think of the last person or one of the last people that the art rejected, right? We had a student that, every time I saw him, he'd talk about, how much he liked to spar and fight. And he'd talk about how he beat up this person and, that person, and nobody wants to spar him because he's too good. And, I can't do it. I can't, if you think you're that good, I can't teach you anything. Mm-hmm. You're just coming around to try to get some validation. And that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to help set your foot on a path to where you can engage in some self-discovery and then, hopefully become, quote unquote fighter, somebody that can take care of themselves in a physical situation, but somebody that can deal with adversity, with more of an optimistic attitude, right? If you come in saying, you can beat everybody up and you're trying to collect techniques, well, I got nothing for you. Mm-hmm. This ain't the place.
You're missing the point already.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, it made me think as you were saying that, like it's, I think I view it as it's all relationships, like whether it's your relationship with yourself and you're figuring out like who you are and where your boundaries lie and reinforcing those and how to do that. And what it's worth to you. What are you fighting for? And taking that back out in life. So the relationship with yourself, the relationship with the person you're sparring, the relationship, whoever it is, like if you're approaching those relationships wrong, it's not going to work, So yeah, I mean, it's definitely, the art will reject you. The relationship will kick you out.
All right. So, our topic tonight was the surgery, shameless plugs, Shaolin Temple.
And a lot of stuff in between. Alex will craft it into a highly entertaining, very
harmonious, flowing, action-packed dialogue. And as far as surgery goes, if somebody says do it, just do it ASAP. Don't mess around. If you can spare a dime,
fundraiser
send it our way.
is still open.
Yeah, we're poor. I mean, I don't know.
We'll have to do a follow-up on the Shaolin Temple part.
Yeah, for sure.
And get the download of all the experiences.
Yeah, and Shaolin Temple, that is to be continued. This will be, for clarification, this will be the finale of season 1. That's how we're going to do this. And once we get back from China, and we kind of have a chance to digest all our experiences and sift through whatever media we have and kind of compile, the story that we want to tell you to motivate you and get you excited about martial arts, then that will be the beginning of season 2. So that will be to be determined. Hopefully, thinking sometime September.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, we should be able to
give it a month, maybe late September or something.
It's a 10-day trip. I'm going to journal, I feel like.
That's probably a good idea.
It's just going to be so much.
Mm-hmm. It's a good idea.
All right. What else? Anything else?
I think that's all I got.
Thanks for having me. After having
Thanks for
witnessed
coming.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Simo, Becky Mason. We still need to get you on here for your standalone episode.
Mm-hmm.
All of our classmates are for it.
A couple more collaborations.
I mean, if you guys really want to put up with this again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, nobody's got anything else. Alex, take us out.